You apologize before you even know what you did wrong. You replay conversations long after everyone else has forgotten them. You wonder if your message sounded rude, if your silence hurt someone, or if setting one small boundary made you a bad person. And sometimes, someone is upset around you, and your mind immediately asks, "What did I do?" But here is something worth noticing. You do not always feel guilty because you did something wrong. Sometimes, your mind learned that taking responsibility felt safer than having no control. If this feels familiar, you may have been blaming yourself for things that were never yours to carry, because the reason may have nothing to do with your mistakes. It may have everything to do with the way your mind learned to protect you.
Your mind naturally starts looking for what might be wrong, not because something is always wrong, but because feeling prepared can seem safer than being surprised. So, when someone becomes quiet, when a conversation feels different, or when you sense tension around you, your brain starts searching for an explanation. And sometimes the fastest explanation it finds is, maybe I caused this. Maybe I did something wrong. This is where guilt becomes powerful, because your brain is not always looking for the truth. Sometimes it is looking for a reason that makes uncertainty feel easier to handle. And if blaming yourself creates the feeling that you can fix the situation, your mind may choose guilt over accepting that some things are simply outside your control.
A friend suddenly becomes quiet. They stop replying the way they usually do. Nothing has actually happened. They might just be tired, busy, or dealing with something completely unrelated. But your brain does not wait for evidence. It starts searching. Did I say something? Maybe I annoyed them. I should not have joked like that. You replay every sentence, every pause, every message. Hours later, you're apologizing for something they never even noticed. Or maybe it's at work. Your boss says, "We need to talk tomorrow." That's it. One sentence. The rest of your day disappears. Your mind fills the silence with imaginary mistakes. You prepare explanations for problems that don't even exist. By the time the meeting happens, you've already punished yourself dozens of times. If this feels familiar, you're not weak, and you're not irrational. Your brain is trying to solve a mystery that was never yours to solve. How many times have you felt guilty before anyone even blamed you?
Guilt is supposed to tell us we have done something wrong, and sometimes that is true. When you hurt someone, it pushes you to apologize, to repair relationships, to grow from the mistake. But there is another kind of guilt, a quieter one, a guilt that appears without proof, without facts, without any real wrongdoing. This kind of guilt does not come from your actions. It comes from your expectations, the impossible expectations you learned to place on yourself. You may have learned that keeping everyone happy was your responsibility. You became the peacekeeper, the helper, the person who never creates problems. At first, it seems like kindness, but underneath there is fear. Your mind learned that love depends on keeping other people comfortable, so someone else's disappointment starts feeling like your personal failure, even when it is not.
Feeling guilty can actually create the illusion of control. If everything is your fault, then maybe everything is also within your power to fix. As strange as that sounds, it is comforting, because the alternative is harder. Accepting that people have emotions you cannot control, that relationships sometimes change, that misunderstandings happen, that life is unpredictable. Blaming yourself can feel safer than accepting uncertainty, because guilt whispers, "If I had just done something differently." But reality often says, "There was nothing you could have done." Those are very different stories, and one of them keeps exhausting you. Think about the last time you felt guilty. Did you actually do something wrong, or were you simply trying to carry someone else's emotional weight?
You have probably experienced moments like these yourself. You say no to an invitation because you are exhausted. Instead of resting, you spend the entire evening feeling guilty, not because saying no was wrong, because someone might think you are selfish. Or maybe you stop answering messages immediately. You were busy, you were overwhelmed, yet your mind keeps saying they are probably upset, so you apologize again, even though you were simply living your own life. Or maybe someone criticizes you, not harshly, just one small comment.
And somehow it grows into proof that you are disappointing everyone. One negative opinion suddenly feels louder than 100 moments of appreciation. That's what chronic guilt does. It magnifies the negative and quietly erases everything else.
There's another reason guilt becomes so familiar. You are incredibly good at imagining other people's feelings. It is a deep strength. It helps you care deeply. It helps you notice pain others miss. But when empathy has no boundaries, it slowly becomes emotional responsibility. You stop asking, how are they feeling? And you start asking, how am I responsible for how they are feeling? Those are completely different questions. One creates compassion. The other creates exhaustion, because no human being can successfully manage another person's inner world. Not a partner, not a parent, not a friend, not you.
You do not have to fix every bad mood you notice. You do not have to solve every silence. Not every uncomfortable moment is asking you for an explanation. Someone can misunderstand you. That does not automatically mean you did something wrong. Someone can be disappointed with your decision. That does not mean saying no was the wrong choice. The habit is not caring too much. It is believing every emotion around you needs a response from you. That is why guilt becomes so exhausting. You spend so much energy managing reactions that were never yours to manage. You start walking on eggshells, choosing every word, questioning every decision, apologizing before anyone asks. The strongest relationships do not expect that. They allow disagreement, they allow misunderstanding, and they do not expect you to take responsibility for every feeling in the room.
The next time guilt appears, do not immediately ask, what did I do wrong? Ask something different. What evidence do I actually have? Am I responding to reality or to an old fear? Sometimes you will realize you truly made a mistake. That is part of being human. Real guilt helps you make things right, but many times you will discover there was never a crime, only a habit of assuming responsibility for things that were never yours, and habits can change. Slowly, patiently, one honest question at a time. Maybe this is why you've been so tired, not because life has been harder than everyone else's, but because you have been taking responsibility for things no one ever asked you to manage. Every awkward silence, every disappointed face, every delayed reply, every change in someone's mood, as if your job was to keep the emotional world perfectly balanced. No one can live like that forever, and no one should have to. So, the next time guilt shows up, pause before you accept it as the truth. Sometimes guilt is wisdom, but sometimes it is just an old habit that convinces you everything is your responsibility. Learning the difference may be one of the most freeing things you will ever do, because you were never meant to spend your life apologizing for existing.